Hello, hello, Real Lines. Yeah, we go. Just waiting for Tola to join the. There we go. Just waiting for Tola to join, and then we'll begin with today's session. Yes, Mr. T.
How far now?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to Jeffo. We're just starting up today. Are you excited for our conversation today, Tola?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All
Seriously. I have my notebook here with me because this one is going a little bit deeper than we
Yeah,
usually go. So you just can't speak off the top of your head right now.
yeah. That's you know the think tank. You have to yeah,
Seriously.
you have to think.
Mm.
I don't know if we should start or maybe we should wait for a few people to join us because
Yeah, we could wait. We could wait for just a few people to join us, I guess. That'd be good.
okay.
Mm.
How's it been? How's work
Good.
been?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. It's been cool. I just had to rush in to make sure I'm in time for this right now.
Okay.
But work has
Yeah.
been good. Work has been all right.
Yeah.
Um, I know. I was thinking, how do I meant to give the feedback on the schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
mm, at
Yeah.
least for the people that,
Yeah, for the people that asked, we will there we have a I don't know how many people are watching, but we have um, a list of formal design education schools, courses that we have curated, and I think we can post the link on stories afterwards so
yeah,
people could check that out. And I think one of the things that I would like to know is that um, it's an ongoing list, like so we'll be updating it, and maybe I'll peg it to the logo match so people can always check it at any point in time. Yeah, so that's something that I think we'll probably do.
that's cool. I can see you
Yeah,
have the cap going right now.
yeah. Since
You
we're
know,
not
you can
many
start your
people.
own. You can start your own. God is a designer type, thing going.
Yes, now maybe I'll go into merchandising now.
Seriously.
I'll be doing t-shirts and
Oh man.
stuff. But yeah, it's I think it's something that I have been thinking about, like fashion and all this. But that's a conversation for another time. But yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's a cool move.
Hi, Dr. IB. Thanks for joining
Dr.
us.
Dr. Ivy is
Um
here to. She's here to monitor us. It's true. Now
yeah,
she's
okay.
always on my case. After the whole thing, I ask her how has it gone, and she's like, "You guys tried, though, but you're not answering people's questions. You're not acknowledging people." So I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
right. Anywhere that comes, just say hello to them and jot down their
yeah.
questions."
Exactly. So I think that maybe one thing that we could do is to try to keep track of people that are joining the call and,
Yeah, true.
engage with them in real time. And I think bringing people into the conversation as we are having the conversation, because I think maybe the
Yeah, true.
bigger idea would be not just for you and I to be like this think tank, but for everybody, including the people watching, to be in this think tank and to be able to contribute to the conversation that we're having.
Yeah, true,
So
true, true.
I think that would be really useful. I know that we have changed the time, and maybe some people might be expecting us to
Yeah,
start.
kind of thrown off. Mm.
Yeah, probably turn off. But I think what we should do is we should go ahead, and then
Yeah, sure.
because we'll always be able to post the video, I think people would still be able to watch. If not now, then maybe later on, and be able
Later.
to
True.
get value. Okay.
All right,
So,
cool.
to everyone watching. Welcome to another episode of Think Tank Sessions. I hope you like the face cap. It's a new
Godfather.
experiment I'm trying. Yeah, I'm Godfather. Thank you for joining us. It's
You
really
know, Godfather has
exciting.
been he has been with us from the first
Consi
stuff. So he's
yeah,
always joining in and joining in early. So it's
yeah,
good to
that's
have him. Always good to
Yeah,
have
it's
you.
good. When we start doing giveaways, we know the people will target.
We'll start giving out cars.
When we start giving out a gift card to Amazon and this type of thing. Yeah, so we'll start today. Today we're tackling something that's like I think really exciting. And like Tola, you mentioned
True.
earlier, you spoke about how it's deep and it's
Yeah.
I think it's a topic that could be really beneficial to people watching. So today we're talking about African design leaders.
Mm.
That is the specific topic, but we're talking about design leadership as well. One of the
Mm.
things I would like to cover is, obviously we would need to answer the question of what is design leadership,
Mhm.
and then African design leaders, where are they, what are they,
Mhm.
or are there enough African design leaders? And if
Mm.
there
And
aren't, we
why
need
we
to
don't
kind of
have them?
like exactly why
Mm.
we do or why we don't have them. So I
Why
think
we
that's
don't
how
have
we're
them?
gonna go
Good.
into it. Yeah.
True.
So I think really quickly, let's just start with Tola, what is design leadership? So yeah, what is design leadership? Let's start from there.
All right. So I'm going to try to define design leadership from defining who a design leader is.
Okay.
You understand? So a design leadership will be kind of what a design leader does. So you can infer that from what I say design leader is. So so you see, a design leader is a person who is able to cause a shift in mental perception or behavioral direction of people through the act of design. That means you are able to influence the way people think and influence the way people act just by doing design. You understand? And I guess a lot of people, I know we kind of um, grazed on this the first time we had this think tank. We said we're going to be talking about design leadership. And I remember I said then that we don't have a lot of design leaders in Nigeria. And someone sent me a message and said, "Oh, I thought you are a design leader." And I said, "No, no, I'm not a design leader. You understand? I'm not, and I'm not trying to be humble. And at the same time, I'm not underrating myself. But I know the definition of who a design leader is, and I don't think I've gotten to that level. And I think the thing is that people confuse design leadership for someone who is a leader in design. You understand? So I said, to me, a design leader is someone who is able to change people mentally, behaviorally through design. Whereas a leader in design is someone who is an expert in design and is revered by people in the design community. You understand what I'm saying? So one might be one one is able to influence people outside his sphere of expertise, and while one is able to be an expert in what he does, and by so doing gains the respect of people within that field and community. So that's
Okay.
how I see design leadership.
Yeah, we have a comment here where D Jeffo says that you just described yourself. So when you first
I,
when you described the design leader, he said you just described yourself. Okay, I think that's a really good definition. And just to kind of like go over it to ensure that I'm getting okay, you kind of like made a
Mhm,
difference between a design leader who is someone that's able to influence others using design, and
mhm.
then a leader in design is someone who is respected within the field of design.
Exactly. Who's like an expert. You understand?
Okay.
He does it really well. And we have
Does it
so
really
many
well.
of those, you understand? Mm.
Exactly. So I think I agree with your definition, but I have like a bit of a different perspective to come at the question from.
All right.
So I think one of the things that when you talk about design leadership, especially traditionally and academically,
Mm.
you cannot talk about design leadership without talking about design maturity. So they're kind of like linked. So
Mm.
when you, especially when you come think of it as like the design career path. So on the design career path, you have, let's just streamline it to three layers. There is the independent contributor, there is
Okay.
the design manager, and then
Okay.
there is the design leader. So, and that's like more of the academic hierarchy of design leadership, where
Mm.
the independent contributor is the person that's on the ground, he's like the soldier on ground, who's kind of like implementing design decisions and kind of like the tactical aspects of design. The design
Mm.
manager is the person that coordinates the operation of all the designers. So to ensure that design processes, design projects are working efficiently within like an organization, within an agency, stuff like that. So that's design manager. And then a design leader is someone who is able to set strategic vision for design and for the company at an executive level. So that's the academic definition of design leader. All right,
Mhm.
but design leadership is so much more than just this academic definition, because design leaders, especially leadership, has everything to do with influence.
True.
Leadership is all about your ability to influence other people,
True.
and potentially improve their outcomes, to improve their quality of
Mm.
life, to improve the quality of their thinking. And so in that sense, that's where like I kind of connected. So usually because of the scope of design leaders at that strategic executive level, they have a lot of influence on the direction that companies take, on the direction that products and services take, on the direction that the careers of the people within the company take. So that's kind
Mm.
of like a different perspective on design leadership. So what do you think about that angle and how that comes in? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, it makes a lot of sense, from an academic point of view. You understand? Um, and how I see it is trying to distill it to the simplest form. You understand? Where design leadership is not abstract. You understand?
yeah,
It's something anyone can relate with, in the sense that you can define it and you can actually say this person fits into who a design leader is. Like the person I said, I just described myself. I still feel I've not described myself. If you listen to me carefully, you understand. And the definition, how I was able to define it. A design leader is able to lead through design. I know what when we talk about leading, it means going a particular direction, starting something, being in the forefront of something, and getting people to follow you. Do you understand? So there can't be
yes,
any leading without followership. So you have to think before you call someone a design leader, what has he caused to exist that he has walked down that path and caused people to walk with him down that path? What has he seen that he has caused other people to start seeing through his own lens? You understand the way he sees it, and maybe I'll just give some examples of people I consider design leaders, and
yeah.
maybe to just shine
That was
some
my next
direction into it.
question. Yeah,
Yeah. So I would start from someone that is more relatable to everybody. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a design leader because he was able to change the way we view personal computers, um, and computer interface by doing what he does as a designer, as a design thinker. You understand? He changed our perception of the personal computer as something big, bulky, and ugly. You understand? And it's changed the interface from what we see as something drab, techy, to something that could actually be interesting and attractive. You understand? So he's a design leader in that sense, because from his work, people's perception of a computer is different. It shouldn't be boring. It should be colorful. It should be interesting. The desktop design should be attractive. So Steve Jobs is one. Another person I can think of is a guy called David Carson. Have you ever heard of David Carson?
No, I can't
Yeah,
say I've
he's
heard.
he's an American designer,
Yeah.
and he's in his 60s right now, but he has been designing for quite a while. And I call him a design leader because he has been able to change the way we perceive type and typography by just being experimental in his use of typography. And I'll show you something now because I have to write this down. I hope I get it the wrong way. If I write this, can you see this?
Yep.
What does this say?
Create.
Create. You understand? Many years ago, people will look at this and say it doesn't make any sense. You understand? But David Carson was the person that started doing this kind of thing. You understand? He started the whole mixing numbers and alphabets, things that really education told us they shouldn't be together. He's like,
Yeah.
oh no, this can be a type of typography where you can make a word out of this. So he started that. He's a design leader because after he did this, people just started doing this all over the place. In New York, they do this. In South Africa, they do this. In Lagos, they do this. Everybody is coming with that oh, create, wonder. You understand that kind of thing? So they're using words and numbers together. So he has started something, people have started to follow. If you go away from the area of graphic design or product design, if you look at art, there was a French guy called Claude Monet. Monet started what is called impressionism in art. That means you paint something, and it doesn't really have to be a picture perfect image of the painting. You understand? It can look a little bit blurry. Like if you see someone Van Gogh's painting, because Van Gogh was an impressionist. You see, Monet started that. Before him, if you had to paint a flower, it had to look like a flower. It had to have the petals and everything. But now he could just paint a stem and something blurry around it. And it started what we called impressionism. And because of that, some other people like Picasso and a Russian guy called Kandinsky started something called abstract art. And that's why we are logo designers now. We can draw a bird in logo design that can just be wings, you understand, without the head. And it can be symbolic of a bird. And that's because somebody started abstract art, you understand? So it was the designer that started it, and we all started following, and it became a thing, you understand? If in architecture, you have someone like Frank Lloyd Wright, an American architect who started something called organic architecture. And he thought of it as, look, architecture doesn't, when you want to build a house, you don't have to cut down a forest. You don't have to blast rocks. You can look at the forest and build the house within the forest without cutting down one tree. You can build your house on a rock without blasting one rock. So architecture should kind of go with nature. You understand? You don't have to distort nature to impose architecture. So he started that as a movement that is called organic architecture. So you see, all these guys have one thing in common. They started one thing that became a trend, and people started to follow. And you could trace it back to, oh, this thing started from this person. And this person just did this by just playing with the art or being innovative or being, to start something. So for me, that word design leader, it's not something to be taken for granted. And we take a lot of words for granted today. We take the word genius for granted, for instance. Everybody's a genius. Oh, we say, man, guy, you're a genius, man. Just because you've done 1 + 1. You understand what I'm saying? You're a genius. But the design leader is something that should be revered, because the person is actually starting a new way of life for us. So a design that comes into our life, and our life is not the same anymore. You understand? He does something that kind of changes the way we think, the way we talk, the way we act, the way we approach things. So that's how I see design leader. Now I was saying, the person I describe myself, I don't think I describe myself as a design leader. If I look at all these people that I've mentioned, you understand, they actually started something, and people have been able to follow it.
Okay. Well, that's a really interesting take. And I'm going to be honest with you, like I had never really seen it this way. Because for me, design leader was someone that kind of like influences the next generation of design through that. But what you are bringing into this is kind of like the idea of, because a lot of all these people one of the things that they all have in common is that they had bold ideas,
True.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
they had what I usually call design vision. So they're
Yeah.
able to envision like big transformations, and these big transformations, when implemented, result in like traditional shift, like big shifts in the way people do things, in the way people
Mm,
communicate, in the way people do art, in the way
mm.
people make products, all those types of things. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting way to think about it. And that way, it almost now begs the question, like, okay, you've listed all these really giants of design and art. So what about from Africa? What about from Nigeria? You know,
Mm,
where are
yeah.
these, leaders? So
Leaders.
yeah, I think that's, I think, a good question to ask,
Mm.
right? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's like the next line of question, because I mentioned people from Russia, people from the US, people from France, and I
Yep.
not one time mentioned anyone from anywhere in Africa. So that kind of got me thinking, you understand, about where are the African design leaders? If you're going to look at people that really started something and, it kind of caused some kind of um, disruption in people's lives, you understand? So you cannot view these things the same way anymore. And I kind of thought about it. I was I was a bit fast in trying to dismiss or come to the conclusion that there were no African design leaders. But I now realize that that was an erroneous thought, you understand?
Okay.
Because when I try to track back more, I kind of look at, okay, um, the Egyptians started something called hieroglyphics. You understand? Hieroglyphics started about 6,000 years ago. You understand? They were the first to start it. And hieroglyphics led into what we call traditional writing right now. You
Yeah.
understand? It was the arts that, because before then, people were not writing. Writing was not the thing.
Yeah.
As commonplace as it seems now, writing was not a thing 6,000 years ago. You understand? But they invented a way of communicating by drawing symbols and
Yeah.
shapes, and they did it a lot in the wall, on the walls of tombs and caves and stuff like that. And people found these things and thought, oh man, this is really, really incredible. I wonder what this person is trying to say. You understand what I'm saying? So if you look at it, the design leadership in itself could be said to have started from Africa, if you look at it in that sense, because a lot of these things, what we see as, because hieroglyphics is like is an arm of what we call logo. I've forgotten what it's called, but
It's
the fact that
pictorial systems. I know that
yeah,
there's a way. Yeah, go ahead. I think there's a
yeah,
name that is keeping
there's
my
a
mind. Yeah.
yes, there's a term for it, and it has to do with logos. So if you're a logo designer right now, you owe it all to the Egyptians, because they started this concept of using pictures and symbols to communicate with people, and people found that and developed that into alphabet. And if you look at alphabets, what are they? They're just signs. They are signs and symbols too,
Yeah.
that people have string together to form words. So yeah, we do have African design leaders. And I would say, if I was to rank it, I would put the Egyptians first, you understand? Because they came with that. Because what's design anyway? Design is communication. You understand?
Yeah.
Trying to communicate with colors, words, symbols, shapes, you understand? And they started that. The disturbing thing is that it never went beyond Egypt. You understand? If we try to look at it to this extend to any other African country or any other African community, starting anything that influenced the world right now? Sadly, no. You understand? It started and ended with the Egyptians. So it's very, very hard to say we have African design leaders right now amongst us. But that's not to say that we do have in abundance potential. We have potential design leaders. You understand? And that is what you are. That's what I consider myself to be. But have we gotten to that place whereby we are ripe, you understand, to call ourselves design leaders? By no means, no. You understand? Because not really, nobody in Africa has really done anything to change the world's perception. And it's not from Africa. You might have Africans living outside of Africa, you understand? But within this geographical location of Africa, it's not traceable. You understand? If you go online and research, there's nothing. You understand? You see it from France, you see it from France, you see it from China, you see it from the US, you see it from Iraq, Iran. But for Africa, it stops at Egypt. And funny enough, a lot of Egyptians don't consider themselves Africans. You understand? They consider themselves Arabs. You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of we do have a lineage in African design leadership, and at the same time we don't.
Okay. That's really, wow, that's a lot, But I think one of the things that, it almost boils down to is what is the quality of design leadership is almost essentially like thought leadership in design, is essentially what I'm thinking about. And this idea of why are there no bold ideas, bold concepts, bold initiatives that we have seen from the region that we are from. I don't know but I think one of the things, I can't speak for the distant past, but one of the things that I can speak for is the recent past, right? And like we said the last time, I believe that education actually plays such a major part in terms of laying a foundation or laying the ground from which these design leaders grow up. That's one. And then another part would then be the general environment, whether it's an environment that cultivates, that enables kind of like the experimentation, the flexibility of expression, those types of things. Or are we in a society that kind of like chokes us and forces us to fit into a mold? So that's kind of like where I think it begins. And, if we're at this point where we're like, oh, we don't see really bold ideas, really big ideas. Because, I mean, when you talk about Egyptian hieroglyphics or you talk about Steve Jobs, that's such a huge standard that we're setting, So it's almost as if like how are we contributing to kind of like the transformation or the direction in which humanity is going? Like, this is 2020, and then where is our voice in design? Where is our voice? And that's it. So the question now I have to ask you is we've successfully diagnosed it. So like, why and what can we do about it? I think that's something that could be useful to tackle next.
Yeah. And the why is very important. Why is it this way? You understand? Because we all have the same brain. We all have the same two eyes. We all have the same mouth. You understand? I don't think any group of people is more privileged than any other group of people in terms of intellectual capacity. You understand? I don't think the Americans are more intelligent than the Africans. I don't think the Chinese are more intelligent than the Americans. But now I have to ask myself that question: why don't we have African design leaders? And I could pen it down to three key things. And the very first thing, Olukunle there has said that he agrees with you when it comes to education, and I agree with you too when it comes to education. But I'm not. Education is even tracking back to. It's too recent, you understand? Let's track back. Let's take it back a little bit more. And I think the first reason why we don't have so many African leaders, Abinibi, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So I think the first reason is all our original African design values have been eroded. That's the first reason why we don't have active African design leaders. Our original African design values have been eroded. We have been taught, and that's where education comes in. And education is not really the hero here, but the villain.
Yeah.
You understand? Western education, where we have been taught by people or by the people that have colonized us not to value our own sense of identity and our own sense of art and our own sense of design. And you can see the Egyptians, and that's why the Egyptians, you don't see them doing much anymore. You understand? Because in the long run, they were taught to devalue hieroglyphics and adapt normal writing. You understand? Because that was kind of ancient and crude, and that's what we've been taught now. That our original design values are not useful. You understand? They are ancient. They are crude. And I'm going to look at it this way. It's not just visual design, but cultural values, artistic values, fashion. We are taught to know to learn that as it's second rated to what they have, the Western world. So you see, in the Yoruba culture now, they used to have tribal marks for people. You know, once a child was born, it was tribal marks, man. You understand? But now we were taught that was barbaric. You understand? It was barbaric. It was ugly. It was inhumane. You understand what I'm saying? And so it was an art that was frowned upon. But it's funny that for them it's okay to have tattoos and to have piercings. You understand, on you, but it's not barbaric. You understand? It's cool. You understand what I'm saying? So that's part of eroding some of our original design culture. You understand what I'm saying? Because those things were communication. You understand? They were ways of communicating.
Yeah.
You understand? But now it's seen as a means of disfiguring your body. Funny enough, you have people abroad that are beginning to do weird things with their bodies now and stuff that are kind
body
of taking
arts.
the form of our own tribal marks, and are going to sell it back to us. So the first thing is that when it comes to design, we feel we don't own it. You understand? Graphic design, we don't own it. We feel like it was given to us. You understand? Africans feel like it's something we borrowed. And as long as you feel like if something is not yours, you cannot exploit it to the fullest. No way. There's no way you can exploit it and control it to a point of becoming a leader. If I gave you my car, Yinka, to drive for a week, the fact that you are thinking I'm driving Tola's car, you wouldn't drive at the speed you want to drive. You probably will not go to some places where you feel like if the car might get scratched. You understand? You will try to protect it because deep in your mind, you believe it's Tola's car. I need to take care of it. So as much as we have that mentality, like, look, this Photoshop is not ours. This Illustrator is not ours. You understand? This design is not ours. We were taught. As long as you are taught, you cannot control it to the extent of being a leader and saying, this is how you should use it. You understand? So the first thing is the mentality. The mentality is wrong. And the second thing is we have in Africa a competitive spirit, not a creative spirit. We thrive on competition, not creativity, and that is embedded in what I talked about in the first thing about, because we don't have a sense of identity, we don't have a sense of ownership, we have a low self-esteem. So we feel like we do not collaborate to form a movement. You understand? We don't collaborate. So collaboration is very hard in Africa. And where there is no collaboration, there can't be true leadership. You understand? We cannot have leadership when people don't want to collaborate. If people do not say, you know what, Yinka, you and I are going to collaborate to do this thing. And I agree to you being the face of this thing. Until I can come to that place where I can say, look, Yinka, let's go on this. Let's go on this mission and let's start this thing. And I have no problem with you being the face. You see, all these people that I mentioned, Steve Jobs, Claude Monet, Frank Lloyd Wright, the truth of the matter is that Steve Jobs started Apple, but he didn't start it alone. He started it with Steve Wozniak. You understand? Bill Gates started Microsoft, but he didn't started with Paul Allen. You understand what I'm saying? Monet did not start Impressionism alone. He started with a group of artists in France. You understand? So these things take some level of collaboration, which we do not like to do in Africa because we are so insecure and have such a low self-esteem. So we want to be the ones in front. And when we are not the ones in front, we don't want the guy in front to do well because we believe he's taking our space. So if you start a Facebook right now, The difference between an African starting a Facebook and an American starting a Facebook is that you start a Facebook and I will support you. You understand? For an American. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'll be inspired by you to start something as innovative as Facebook, something that would also work, almost the same way, but have a little edge. But if you were Africa, I wouldn't be inspired by you starting a Facebook. I'll be challenged by you starting a Facebook. I'll be threatened by you starting a Facebook. And my mission will be to take you out, because as long as you're there, there's no space for me. So this mentality that if there's one African there, there's no space for other Africans, which is not what the mentality the Chinese have or the Americans have. They feel like if space is abundant for leadership, they feel like in leadership, there are like 1,000 lanes. You understand? Not 1,000, inexhaustible lanes. In Africa, we feel that leadership only has one lane. And as long as there's only one lane, there can only be one person in front per time. You understand? So that's the mentality. You cannot have that leadership. And I was listening to a guy, Vuzi. You know Vuzi?
No, I don't think. But I think
Okay.
VUZU, right?
No, VUZ. No, VUZI, I think.
I know. Okay, no.
Oh, okay. You should search for him on Instagram. Just type out Vuzi. He's a South African guy. And he's an intellectual, you understand? And I enjoy listening to him. And he kind of gave that analysis of why Africans live in the house part-time. Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, it bunched up a bit. Maybe you go back to what Vuzi said. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Vuzi, VUSI.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he was kind of exploring or thinking, why are Africans, why don't we celebrate each other? And he says that it comes down to that slave mentality. Because during the slave, when we had slavery, there was only space for one slave in the master's house part time. So if one slave was there, there was no chance for any other slave to be. So there was only room for one house slave. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's still the mentality we have now. There's only room for one black person on top. So when there's one black person, we don't celebrate him. You understand? We just go after, take him down and take his place.
Target him.
He's targeting. You understand what I'm saying? But the truth is that with leadership, there's space for everyone to be a leader in their field. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because we are so competitive minded, we are not creative. You understand? The third thing is the fact that we are bad at talent management in Africa. Yeah. We do not know how to manage talent, which is a big concern. And that's why I kind of have a problem with the things that are going around now. You know, right now we have a lot of awards that are very I believe there should be awards, but I believe there's a time for giving awards. And I think we reward ourselves too early as Africans. So we don't allow for full maturity. And now we have, I was talking with my wife and she told me, we were talking about this thing, we were talking about wood. And she said, you know what, if I wanted to make a table from wood or a chair from wood, and I go and cut a tree, you understand? It's not as easy as cutting a tree and just starting to make a table or a chair. You cut the tree, you split it, you open it up and let it dry. You understand? All the moisture should go out. And when you cut it, you have to leave time for that tree or for that wood to cure. It's called curing. You understand? It should cure. And after it has cured, it might take some months or so for wood to cure. You now cut it into shapes to form a table. And that table would last for years. But when you take the tree and you cut it, and immediately you turn it into a table or a chair, give it 2-3 months, it will start to fold. You understand? Yeah, and it wouldn't be functional anymore. And that's the problem. The problem is that we started to reward ourselves too early. And that's why I say we have potential design leaders in Nigeria, in Africa, but we are rewarding ourselves too early. And that's why I kind of laugh when I see this top 30 under 30. Top 25 under 25. You understand what I'm saying? Forbes, you see, and even Forbes is doing it. But we got to be careful, because the problem is when someone's on a journey and it's 25-year-old person on a journey, and is beginning to do something good towards design leadership, and you like truncate that journey and say, you know what, you're on our Forbes list, the person's drive and zeal will begin to reduce. Do you understand? Because it kind
Yeah.
of feels like, man,
Suffering
I've
from
made Forbes list.
success.
Yes, you understand? Because the truth is that this guy, one of his mission was to be on Forbes list. So when he gets on Forbes list when he's 25, he's like, man, what else is there, man? I might as well just start teaching people how to be who I am right now. Not knowing
Yeah.
you are a work in progress. You're actually a work in progress yourself. So you see all those top 30, under 30, top 100, under 20. It's not helping us. And that's why, if you look at all those awards that kind of reward people that are under 25, under 30 for starting stuff, follow them up and see where those people that they rewarded like 10 years ago who were under 30, what are they doing now? They're falling into commonplace. They're not exceptional as they were when they were 30 or 25. Because the thing is that you didn't allow them to manage that talent. And that's the thing. In the Western world, they don't do that. You realize that someone like Serena Williams, she has been playing tennis for a long time.
Tennis.
Tiger Woods has been playing golf for a long time. But they
Yeah.
didn't, because of that, throw him into the limelight and say, "Mom, we have this new 5-year-old that is playing golf and he's just a prodigy." They hid him because they realized that if they were to put him in the limelight at that time, it would truncate his leadership journey. So they allowed him to cure and to mature. You understand? And he came out when he was 20 something, and they just thought he was an incredible person. And they brought out all the videos from all the VHS videos from when he was young. I said, look,
Yeah.
we actually knew this guy was good then. You understand? So that rewarding ourselves too early it's a big problem we have here, and it's what kind of killing our journey. I did a research, and it was very funny. Have you ever thought of the FIFA under 17 World Cup?
No.
Do you know the most successful country when it comes to this FIFA under 17 World Cup that has won the most cups?
No. Not really.
Nigeria. Nigeria
Really?
is, yes, it's in Wikipedia. Nigeria is
Wow.
the most successful country when it comes to under 17 World Cup. We have won it 5 times. No other country in the world has done that.
Wow.
Brazil comes second. Brazil has won it 4 times. Ghana and Mexico come third. They've won it twice. But how
Wow.
come we never won the World Cup? We have never won the World Cup. We never even go. Have you ever got to quarterfinals? No. Do you understand?
No, I didn't
We
think
haven't.
so.
And it comes to that whole rewarding ourselves too fast. Those guys win that thing. They come back to Nigeria. And what do? Give them awards. President needs them. Give them houses. Give them cars. They are on newspapers. You understand? In the end, the ambition dies. You understand? And that's why you can have countries like Argentina, Spain that have not really won it. Those young guys are still very hungry for it. You understand what I'm saying? So you see, the vision is still, I want to win a World Cup. So when they go back, when those Brazilians go back to their country under 17, they win under 17, they're not really celebrated. You understand? Because they still tell
Yeah.
them, you know what? This is not what it's about.
This
It's
is not
about
the
the World
goal.
Cup. This is not the
Yeah.
goal. You understand? So all those awards that we give each other early, nobody has gotten there yet. But we keep rewarding ourselves like we've gotten there. And that's the problem. And that's why the chair is not balanced anymore. We don't have any seasoned chair that we can sit down on for years because everybody feels like they've gotten there. And that's the biggest problem we have when it comes to
Wow.
leadership in Africa.
Yeah, I think like you've raised so many important points. It's like, what is the goal? I think probably
Mm.
the goal that we have set for ourselves through like this indoctrination, through being told that we can't do more than we can do is like once we attain a certain level of success, it's like, that's it. I'm just going to stop
That's
thinking, I'm
it.
going to stop pushing, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to stop so and I think these 3 things is good that these are the things that we need to these are the kind of like the mindsets we need to break of
Mm.
this lack of ownership, of being competitive instead of pursuing creativity, and managing talent to the maximum of its potential. You've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned these 3 things, and I think it's so important, it's so key. And one of the things I think could be really useful for my time working as an educator is there's this thing called a growth mindset and grit.
Mm.
So when it comes to grit or growth mindset, one of the things that you don't say is you don't say, "Oh, you did like you are amazing." What you
Mm,
say is you did a good job, like you worked hard.
mm.
That's what they say. And that way it
True,
encourages
true.
you to keep working. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, it's not about not giving glory. Do
Yeah,
you
sure.
understand? It's not
Yeah.
about not giving glory. It's more about keeping your eyes on what the real prize is.
Yeah.
So as you were talking, a lot of the things that I kept thinking about was the idea of local champions as opposed
Mm.
to global, conquerors. That
Mm-hmm.
is the thing where we are satisfied with being local champions. Well, we're
True.
satisfied with gaining a little bit of ground, and that's where
Mm.
we would stake our tent. When in
Mm.
reality, the scope, the goal is so much higher. So I think if we're able to adopt kind of like this growth mindset where it's all about reaching the extent of our ability, no matter how far we come, it's not even about competing with what other people are doing in other places in the world. To be honest, I don't
No,
feel
at
like
all.
that
Yeah.
is what
No.
the goal is. I feel like the goal
Mm-hmm.
is searching within ourselves and requiring what is the most we can pour out. It is
True.
only with having that kind of mindset, that kind of challenge for yourself from that inward place, not from a competitive place. Not I'm
Yeah.
competing with
With
like Dollar Labi.
XYZ.
No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm competing with Chris Do. I want to do better than him.
Mm-hmm.
But saying like,
Mm.
no, I want to bring out the best that I can bring out.
Mm.
Then, with that kind of growth mindset, where you keep working in the midst of success, where you don't suffer
Mm.
from success and then like you fail from success, essentially is what
Mm.
people say. Having that kind of growth mindset, where you're like, okay, the fact that I've succeeded doesn't mean like it's the end. It means I need to keep working. It means
Keep
if I've
walking.
gotten
Yeah.
this far, there's more to keep doing. There's more to keep pushing.
Mm.
And I think this conversation is so important. And I know we're almost done with today's own, but it's
Mm.
so important. I feel like I probably might write a blog post about this because my
Yeah,
mind is
yeah,
just
yeah.
like it's like
Mm.
blowing so many
Mm.
ideas and stuff like that. But what is so I've mentioned growth mindset and grit, which is just being this
Mm.
ability to stay, no matter what, whether it's
Mm.
success, whether it's failure, to just stay, to keep learning,
Mm.
to keep doing, to keep pushing. But so to the people that are watching, what is then your advice? Like, what is the way
Solution.
forward? Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what I kind of feel is, I'll come back to when I met you. You understand? And there was something you did that impressed me, and I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. You see, I used to be on your case a lot, and I used to tell you, Ninka, post your work. Post your work. Remember, I used to tell you, put your work out there, post your work. And you always tell me, I don't think I'm ready yet. 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 You see, I didn't get it till very recently. And I used to see that, oh man, Ninka needs to come out more. But I realized that it wasn't really shyness or insecurity. It was a kind of delayed gratification on your side, saying, and that was based on what you were seeing, saying, look, I don't need to celebrate myself yet because I'm so far from where I really want to be. You
Yeah.
understand? That sense of restraint is something a lot of young people need to take up right now. You understand? That sense of restraint and humility is very important. Um, and that's why, you see, I still refuse that thing. Guy saying I'm a design leader. I'm not, man. I'm so far from it. You understand? And the way I think about it, I need to keep thinking about it that way so that I don't begin to drink my own Kool-Aid. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
deadly. And we must realize that every state of waiting to get to design leadership, you're not just waiting because you have to wait. It's because it builds character in you. You see, someone like Mandela, if Mandela had not gone to jail for 27 years, he wouldn't have been the leader that he ended up being. You understand? That being in jail, every year in jail, built something in him to be an individual that a lot of what Africans can never be. Do you understand what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that came from waiting. But when you try to jump start it, you understand? And it still goes back to what we were talking about 2 weeks ago, about that apprenticeship.
Yep.
Denying yourself to learn under somebody and to say, you know what, I'm not going to come out yet till I feel this guy releases me and tells me, look, guy, you are good to go. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
ready.
saying? You are ready. It's very important, because every time, for every moment you stay under a mentor, you are building character.
Yep.
You are building character. It might not feel good, but you are building character. Have you ever watched this movie called The Rise and Fall of Idi Amin?
Yes. Yes.
It's a
Wait,
very old
no, I
movie.
actually watched The Last King of Scotland. That was
Last King of, oh, yeah,
yeah, that was
that's
the
the
recent one.
yeah, that's the most recent one. That was good too. But the Rise and Fall of Idi Amin was the first one I watched. I think it was done early 90s or late 80s, something like that. And
Yeah.
that film always intrigued me. Although they came with their own Hollywood perception of it, where they portrayed Idi Amin as a cannibal. I don't know whether it was like a cannibal. Say when you open this fridge, you see heads of people that he feeds. So, but that's not even where I'm going there. Idi Amin was a very, very interesting character. I find him as a very interesting character because he was a Ugandan soldier, and he was actually a very brilliant soldier. Very, very, very brilliant soldier. He was very brave, very bold, very tactical. You understand? And he actually helped in a lot of the conflict that Uganda had with Somalia then. And he was very good with strategy. So he was very bold. He was a good soldier. And because he was such a good soldier, he had risen to the rank of major. You understand? He rose to the rank of major pretty early. And the president wanted to show his appreciation to Idi Amin. And he put him in public office, gave him a public responsibility. You understand? But because Idi Amin was a good soldier, but really wasn't ready to take up public
Yeah.
office, he... Hi, Yinka.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Tola? Yeah, yeah, I think you're back now. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Yinka?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, it's
Okay, okay,
still
okay.
okay.
All right. What was the last thing you heard?
He was a good soldier, but he wasn't
Yes.
re yes,
He wasn't ready for public office. So once he
exactly.
got into public office, he looted a lot of funds. You understand what I'm saying? And the president
Yeah.
said, you know what? I am going to come after you and use you as an example. And because of that, he led a coup, you understand, in Somalia, in Uganda, and he became
Uganda.
the head of state. Yes, he became the head of state in Uganda. And do you know the first thing he did? The first thing Idi did, the first mistake he made, he promoted himself from major to field marshal. He made himself a,
Yeah.
don't know what a field marshal is. A field marshal is the summit is the summit of, of the military.
Of the
We
peak.
have, I'm telling you, in Africa right now, we have only 2 field marshals alive. You understand what I'm saying? In Nigeria, we've never had a field marshal. You understand? So he took himself from major and promoted himself to become a field marshal in Uganda. That means he skipped like 7 ranks, and he became
Hmm.
a tyrant. He became a terrible leader. He said that he killed between 100,000 people and 500,000 people. Killed, not die, just not die naturally. Killed 100, 500,000 because he didn't know how to use power. And that is a classic example of someone that was wood, that was not left to cure, but was formed into a table and
Yeah.
ended up hurting a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I would say my advice to a lot of designers right now is to calm down. A lot of creatives right now is to calm down. A lot of these organizations that are just coming up with awards, top 30 under this, top 25 under this, you guys calm down. Look, the truth is that a lot of organizations just want to get their names out there. So they
Yep.
tell you, nominate this person, let this person vote. It's just a marketing strategy, but it's causing a lot of harm to young people that could be potential leaders, but are beginning to drink the Kool-Aid, their own Kool-Aid, and begin to harm them because they think they've arrived when they've not yet arrived. And we really are not doing anything. So it all comes down to put it all in perspective. That mentality that you had, saying that, you know what, Tola, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't think I'm worthy to even put my stuff out there. A lot of people need to take up that mentality and say, look, I don't think I'm ready. Do you understand? I don't think I'm ready yet. I need to really look at what the standard should be and say, look, have I cured? Do I have the character to put myself out there to start teaching people yet? To start up a school yet? You understand? To put out a course yet on how to do anything? You understand? To even have an Instagram page dedicated to me showing my work. You understand what I'm saying? So it all comes down to that humility and being calm. You understand?
Yeah, that was the point I was going to make about humility. It takes a certain mindset. That growth mindset is very intricately linked to humility. And if you do not have humility, you can never calm down. And I think one thing about this is one thing about, and I realize that it's a general theme, and I don't want to generalize, but like when people skip processes, they end up being faulty at the end. So it's kind of like this tendency to overlook the importance of process. So this is a really, really important conversation that we just had, and I hope we continue. We have like a few, maybe 2 minutes or something.
I'm not going to tell you something. Me and my wife were talking, and we said we have this funny thing in Nigeria where a child is in primary school and he just gets like a good result in primary one, and you say, oh, let's give him double promotion. That thing is very counterproductive. You understand? That double promotion thing. You now wonder why this child ends up in university and now becomes a cult member. Because as you said, once you skip steps, it's most times always counterproductive. Because you've lost something.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important point. And that's really important. And I think this is a conversation that I think a lot of designers need to hear. To how Kendrick Lamar said, slow down, be humble, trust the process, submit yourself to mentorship and apprenticeship, and let your wood be pure, so that when people sit on you, when people require of you, when you're able to push out content, it becomes like great, and it makes big changes in not just in your life, in your society, but like globally. And that's when we'll begin to see a new generation of African design leaders. So this was a really amazing talk. Really good. I don't know if you have any plugs. I don't know, Tola, if there's anything, your last words. We have 57 seconds.
Thank you everybody for being part of this. My wife said I should recognize everybody. So Blossom, thank you for saying Sammy Bola, thank you for laughing.
Godfather.
I can sleep. Well, Godfather, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're really good. You're amazing. If you enjoyed this, I think it will be on our Instagram logo match. Share it. Let other people listen to this. Let them know, the kind of things we're talking about. And hopefully we'll get to see you guys again next 2 weeks on Tola's Instagram for another episode of Think Tank Sessions. Yep.
Thanks, Inka.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take care.
Have a good week to everyone. Bye.
You too.
All right.